Daniel hurriedly left the banquet, and only then did I find out he had been keeping a mistress outside. 19 years old, the girl had officially become his. 2 years later, she gave Daniel a son and received a set of jewelry worth tens of millions. 4 years later, she gave birth to a daughter and was given a promise that they would never be separated. From then on, the two of them had both a son and a daughter, and I, from beginning to end, was kept completely in the dark. On the day everything fell apart, I stood at the door of the room where they had arranged to meet and interrupted Daniel while he was whispering sweet nothings. "Next step, are you going to bring her home?" "Yes," he answered calmly and handed me a divorce agreement. "Sign it. I want to give her a proper status. Every pair of lovers hopes to end up together, but why should I let them have it easy?" Chapter 1. The paparazzo sent me a video of Daniel picking up his illegitimate son from school just after I had put my daughter Luna to sleep. The email contained nothing but the photos and one sentence. "Madam, what I want isn't much. Just 3 million. You can absolutely afford it. I couldn't help but laugh. Paying to clean up my husband's mess in order to preserve the marriage, that was something I would never do. There was no need to cover up a marriage that had already rotted. Until late into the night, I did not respond to him at all. He must have grown anxious, because he sent me another email. "I know your company is currently participating in a government bid. If your marriage runs into trouble, the situation probably won't look very good. Will it? You can try," I replied calmly. I wasn't afraid of angering the paparazzo on the other end. On the contrary, this was exactly the outcome I wanted. Since Daniel had done such a thing, he should be exposed, nailed forever to the pillar of shame. No one was worth my compromise. If it's not good enough, then throw it away. I didn't know when Luna had woken up. She was staring at me with wide eyes. "Mom, aren't you going to sleep?" I gently stroked her hair. "Did I wake you?" "I'm sorry, baby." Chapter 2. Luna shook her head. "I just couldn't fall asleep. Mom, I'm 10 years old. I know what's happening outside. You don't have to hide it from me. I know you know." I froze for a moment and hugged her tightly. I've always known. A wave of heartache surged through me. Ever since her teacher called me, I knew Luna already knew about Daniel. She had been distracted in class and asked if she needed time off. I wanted to, but didn't know how to tell her. I can handle anything myself, but I didn't want my daughter to face her father's infidelity so young. It was too cruel. "Mom, I'm your child." Luna held my hand. "The thing I'm most proud of is being your daughter. I can accept everything, but I don't want to leave you." I held her silently. She had chosen me. "Mom, I will always love you." She fell asleep in my arms. As I turned off the lights, a text arrived. "Still not divorcing? Waiting to be kicked out? You old hag?" It was from Zoe. I had never met her, but she was clearly a complete idiot. Chapter 3. Discovering that Daniel had an illegitimate child was an accident. Last month, I went abroad on a business trip and sent Luna to my parents' house. The cooperation project was originally complicated, and I was supposed to stay in France for at least a month. Unexpectedly, things suddenly took a turn, and I finished the deal in just 1 week and boarded a flight back home. Everything happened so suddenly. When I walked into the house, I saw a child in the garden. He was running around the osmanthus tree. I was stunned for a moment and thought guests had come over and he was their child. Who knew that after a while, the child suddenly fell. Before I could go help him up, he started crying and kept shouting, "Grandma!" Daniel's mother and the housemaid ran out of the living room at the same time. The maid helped the child up, and Daniel's mother picked him up. "My grandson, how did you fall?" The child cried and called Grandma, struggling to get down. After she put him down, he kicked the osmanthus tree and flew into a rage. "Grandma, hurry and cut down the tree. Cut it down now." Then he lay on the ground and rolled around. "This tree should die. I want to kill it." I stood there for a long time, shocked by his repeated cries of "Grandma." The child seemed a little off. He suddenly screamed and even kicked Daniel's mother. I stood there, unable to move. Daniel's mother frowned and started coaxing the child. Gradually, she lost her temper too. "Stop yelling, okay? What do you want?" Suddenly, she looked up and met my eyes behind the flowers. Daniel's mother froze, her mouth opening and closing, but she said nothing. Daniel came back quickly when he carried the child into the living room. I stood aside waiting for his explanation. When he saw me, he immediately put the child down. I can explain, Gloria. The moment he said that, I knew everything was true. He really did have an illegitimate child. All the memories and past between us became a joke at that moment. The child suddenly burst into tears, clinging to Daniel and asking to be held. Daniel just stared at me, his mouth slightly open. When the child didn't get a response, he started screaming, running around the living room, knocking the fruit plate off the coffee table, and then began banging his head against the wall. It was obvious he was not a healthy child. No need to explain. Draft a divorce agreement and send it to me tonight. I looked at Daniel. Chapter 4. Gloria. Daniel glanced at the child before meeting my eyes again. He looked irritated. You're bringing up divorce just like that? What's the point of this? You won't even listen to my explanation. What do you want to explain? As my question fell, the child screamed again. His screams grew louder and louder. I forced down the bitterness in my throat. Daniel, what right do you have to explain anything to me? Daniel picked up the child and said nothing more. No amount of words could change the truth now. I packed my things briefly and turned to leave. Over the past month, I had consulted the best lawyers about the divorce. Daniel's shamelessness was obvious. The most urgent matter was securing my own rights. The child and the family assets, I wanted both. I wouldn't leave Daniel a single thing. After washing up, the private investigator sent me Zoe's address. Mr. Daniel has protected that woman very well. I had someone follow him for quite some time before confirming he's keeping her in a standalone villa at Riverside Garden. I've sent you the exact location. It's probably not the only place. I'll continue investigating. I transferred him $200,000 and replied, please. Originally, things didn't have to come to this between Daniel and me. We could have talked things through, parted on good terms, and divorced peacefully. But he refused to communicate with me. He wanted custody of our daughter, claiming he would never let his child be raised outside his home, and I would never let him have his way. Even if my daughter didn't grow up in his house, she would have everything with me. She didn't need Daniel as her father. To her, he would only be a stain. I drove to Zoe's residence. I recognized Daniel's car in the courtyard at a glance. It was his favorite car, there was no mistake. Daniel's assistant Oscar stood outside the living room. He had been rubbing his hands and stomping his feet to keep warm. But the moment he saw me, he froze. It really is cold today. I smiled at him. I never expected that Oscar's job description also included driving his boss to meet his mistress. Oscar stammered. I. In the end, he lowered his head. I had no intention of making things difficult for an employee and handed him a business card. You have two choices. First, call Daniel now. I assume he asked you to help cover for him, but even if you inform him, I still intend to see him, and he'll probably take his anger out on you. Compared to that, the second option is much better. I laughed softly. Forget that Daniel is your boss. Quietly let me in and don't alert anyone. After today, resign and come work for my company. I'll offer you double your salary. Oscar hesitated only slightly before choosing the second option without hesitation. That made sense, after all. My family's company had far better prospects than Daniel's. There was no reason to pass up a better future. Chapter 5. After entering the house, I paused slightly in surprise. The decoration here looked very similar to Daniel's old family home. Even the furniture was the same. Daniel had mild obsessive-compulsive tendencies. He liked identical things. When he was young, all his stationery was always the same model. If he lost something, he would buy the exact same one to replace it. I quietly went upstairs, and the decor upstairs was also identical to the old house. It seemed Daniel had been very serious about creating a replica home. I walked to the innermost room. Daniel's bedroom in the old house was in this position. It must be the same here. The door was not closed. Voices faintly drifted from inside. Daniel, when are you going to marry me? I don't want to be the woman behind you anymore. Will you marry me? You can't let our children remain illegitimate forever. Can you? It was a very coquettish voice, sweet to the point of being sickening. Wait a little longer. Don't make a fuss. Daniel gently coaxed his mistress. I need to get custody of my daughter before I can divorce. The woman sounded dissatisfied. We already have a son and a daughter. Why do you insist on that child? Luna was raised by my mother and me. We're attached to her. It's not easy to let go. Don't make trouble. Zoe. Daniel coaxed Zoe for a long time before she finally smiled again. Daddy. A little girl who looked under 2 years old ran over from another corridor. A shrewd-looking middle-aged woman followed closely behind her, afraid she might fall. When she saw me, she covered her mouth, almost screaming. Daniel must have heard his daughter calling him and walked out with a smile. But the first person he saw was me. Daniel froze in shock. Zoe, standing beside him, spoke with schadenfreude. Daniel, you drove too fast. You didn't even notice something following you. I raised my hand to slap her. Unfortunately, Daniel was faster and stopped me. Gloria, he said displeased. You're 34. She's only 25. It's normal she doesn't know how to speak properly. Why argue with her? I stood there, calmer than I expected. When people stop loving you, they speak without thinking. I just didn't expect him to bring up age. I raised my hand and slapped Daniel instead. I used all my strength and showed no mercy. Daniel looked up in shock as a red mark instantly appeared on his face. Zoe screamed and covered her mouth. I had learned self-defense since childhood. That slap definitely didn't feel good. My parents had always told me that as the sole heir of the family conglomerate, I needed strong physical fitness and knowledge. I did exactly that. I was team captain, skilled in various sports, fluent in multiple languages, and top of every class. I worked this hard to satisfy myself. I wanted to excel in everything, expand the company, fulfill social responsibility, and become an outstanding entrepreneur. I also wanted my employees to be the happiest and most fulfilled. I demanded perfection from myself. Not so Daniel could mock me about my age. Gloria, Daniel said angrily. Are you crazy? Zoe chimed in. How could you hit Daniel? Before she finished, I slapped her as well. Her delicate face swelled instantly. I hate asymmetry, so I slapped her again. Daniel's illegitimate daughter giggled. Thinking it was amusing, Daniel glanced at her, displeased. We stood there in a stalemate. Daniel suddenly sneered. Gloria, you're insane. He looked me up and down. Look in the mirror and see how crazy you've become. Are you young, Daniel? I almost laughed. Maybe you should look in the mirror yourself. He was 6 years older than me, now 40. Time had treated him kindly, leaving no obvious marks. But that was no reason to mock me about age. Daniel, if you had made a mistake when you were young, she could have been born back then. Chapter 6. Zoe's expression turned ugly. I glanced at her and said nothing more. Talking to someone like her was a complete waste of time. I turned to leave, but before getting into the car, Daniel grabbed me. Daniel, I'm not your employee. Is this how you treat me? I ignored him. Daniel snatched my bag. Gloria, why have we become like this? It's your attitude. You're always so high and mighty. You're always like this. If you hadn't liked pointing fingers at me, we wouldn't have ended up here. Daniel's eyes were red. Is our family really short of money? Why do you always have to overshadow me? Do you know what people say about me? Daniel almost shouted. They say I live off you. They say without your guidance I wouldn't have gotten this far. Would any man accept that? I looked at Daniel calmly, my heart torn into countless pieces. Just a month ago, he had carefully prepared a birthday gift for me, hugged me affectionately, and thanked me for helping him win the government bid. And not just that. As he said himself, I had helped him countless times. He went from happily enjoying the benefits to resenting them. I looked at Daniel. You're terrifying. I don't know when he became like this, enjoying everything I gave him while despising that it came from me. Or perhaps what he despised wasn't the achievements, but that everyone knew he got them because of me. Wanting everything while resenting everything, how despicable. I snatched my bag back and kicked him, making him stagger. What did I say the year we got married? I said if one day you stop loving me, don't betray me, just tell me, and we'll divorce peacefully. Did you do that? The more I spoke, the more ridiculous it felt. If you're afraid people think you're incompetent, why don't you make your own decisions? Why do you keep asking me for help over and over again? He's the one who said I liked to lecture him, yet he was the one who repeatedly came to me for solutions whenever he had problems. Daniel, How can someone be this shameless? This isn't self-awareness, it's insecurity. Zoe ran out, saw Daniel's miserable state, and stood in front of him. Try hitting him again. Do you really think Daniel won't fight back? Will he? I didn't hide my contempt. If he wanted to, he would have already. It's not that he doesn't want to, he's just too drained by alcohol and pleasure to fight back. I drove away, unwilling to deal with either of them anymore. In the car, I thought about many things. Saying I had no regrets would be a lie. Chapter 7. Daniel and I were not exactly childhood sweethearts, but we had known each other since we were young. The circle was small, even if our families weren't close. We had crossed paths before. At 26, Daniel returned from abroad and took over the company. His parents had raised him as the heir since childhood. So this path was inevitable, just as everyone expected. He acted decisively and quickly established authority. But that was only temporary. Without his parents constantly overseeing things, the company soon ran into trouble. Daniel fired an employee who had caused the company millions in losses due to a mistake at work. That employee turned the tables on him. He was a small content creator and posted a video claiming he had been distracted at work because he was worried about his child and was therefore fired. Relying on that video, he gained 200,000 followers in a short period of time. In the video, he cleverly omitted the losses he had caused and instead complained that the company was inhumane for firing someone over momentary distraction. Daniel's company failed to handle the public opinion crisis immediately, causing the truth to be buried repeatedly. By the time they tried to respond, the situation had escalated. Daniel, as acting CEO, became someone people warned others to avoid, bringing severe reputational damage to the company. Even normal clarifications were twisted into accusations that Daniel was bullying the employee into apologizing. Just as Daniel was pushed into the center of the storm, I attended their company's morning meeting. My father owned shares in his family's company, though he rarely attended meetings and simply collected dividends. Since I was young, my father had taken me everywhere with him, teaching me and exposing me to the business world. When I turned 18, he transferred many of his company shares to me, including shares in Daniel's company. After the meeting ended, only Daniel and I remained. He recognized me and greeted me proactively. Miss Gloria, what brings you here? When did you return? I stood up smiling and shook his hand. It's been a while. You don't look in the best shape today. Daniel laughed awkwardly and admitted it. I laughed too. At the time, I thought he had a genuinely good temperament. He was very young then, full of ambition to conquer the world. Yet because he was so young, he still carried a certain scholarly air. When I brought up the male employee's incident, Daniel showed resistance. Since when did Miss Gloria take such interest in our company's affairs? Because I'm a shareholder, I replied calmly. Naturally, I hope the company does well. After all, it affects my year-end dividends, doesn't it? Daniel smiled again and asked my age. 20. Then you haven't graduated yet? Why are you back? Taking a gap year? I've graduated, I answered evenly. I went abroad at 16. Of course I've graduated. Daniel looked surprised and asked which university. Cornell University, our shared alma mater. Upon hearing we were alumni, he became less distant and began chatting about campus anecdotes. Why did you choose Cornell? He asked. It's where my parents fell in love. I thought it was meaningful, so I went. After a moment, I added. Once I decided, I committed to it. My parents only required that I attend an Ivy League school. They didn't care much about global rankings, so I chose Cornell. I could have applied to better ranked schools, but I didn't think it necessary. Daniel began explaining that he chose the university for its culture. When we moved on to discussing company matters, Daniel grew increasingly animated. He quickly asked whether I had time to have dinner with him so we could continue talking. Chapter 8. I didn't agree to his suggestion of going to a high-end Western restaurant. Instead, I suggested we eat at their company cafeteria. A company cafeteria represents employee benefits and corporate culture, so I was very willing to take a look. I was young at the time, and my thinking naturally jumped around. My parents wanted me to learn from people in our circle, so I came to Daniel's company to fill in my gaps. In my own company, it's easy to see everything through a favorable filter and overlook problems, so it's better to look outward. Besides, Daniel wasn't an idiot. I couldn't ignore his abilities just because of a public opinion crisis. I was happy to learn from him. The meal was overall satisfactory, and Daniel politely asked for my advice on handling the public relations crisis. He first shared his ideas. He had two plans. One was to let things cool down and believe the innocent would be proven innocent. If the public refused to believe the company's clarification, then just wait until the attention faded. The second method was to rehire the employee and stop him from smearing the company. After he finished, I froze for a long time and almost wondered if we had really graduated from the same university. I don't think either method is good, I said as gently as possible. Isn't the first too passive? A company's reputation is its most important asset. It affects stock prices and public perception. The best opportunity for clarification has already passed. Are you really going to keep delaying? Waiting for public opinion to fade is the most passive choice, and it usually only works for things that aren't famous. As long as they don't appear in public again, people won't mention them. But I softened my tone. A company needs exposure. That's equivalent to advertising. A business cannot fear appearing in front of the camera. If the firing incident just fades away, won't your company be planting a hidden mine? If competitors smear you again later, these old issues will be even harder to deal with. Daniel quickly rejected his first option. I began analyzing his second option. A person makes a huge mistake yet benefits from it. Do you think other employees will feel resentful or even imitate it? That employee gained public sympathy by maliciously smearing the company and challenging it. If others copy him, the company will face more negative news. And right now, the company is already seen as the guilty party. If you rehire him now, you'll confirm the public's suspicion. They'll think, if the company did nothing wrong, why did it bow its head? Daniel nodded repeatedly, agreeing with my analysis. At his request, I shared my solution. Investigate everything thoroughly and reverse the situation. At first, some people will refuse to believe the clarification and think it's just a game of capital. For those people, even if you show evidence, they'll deny it. So if you clarify, do it completely. Call the police. Disclose everything and reveal all the losses he caused the company. Also, this matter should be handled from the man himself. I paused. A few days ago, I noticed some revelations in his video comments section, but they've all been deleted. I thought those revelations were credible, so I investigated. It turns out they were true. He's not a single father raising a child alone. He twisted everything. He did divorce his wife, but because he cheated, he refused to pay child support and preferred gambling instead. How many people would believe he was distracted because he was worried about his child? Chapter 9. After hearing me out, Daniel became extremely excited and quickly stood up to thank me. I didn't think it was a big deal. On the contrary, I felt he was exaggerating. In fact, it was a very small matter and didn't require much effort from me. The reason I came that time wasn't because I liked lecturing others. I simply love solving public opinion crises, and it also helps me accumulate experience. If it weren't for the huge family business waiting for me to inherit, I would even want to work in the PR department of an entertainment company. That way, there would be countless public relations crises for me to handle. Daniel wanted his secretary to visit the ex-wife and daughter of that employee and make sure they were willing to testify. I directly gave him a phone number. Daniel, just call this number. I've already explained the situation to them. They're very willing to testify. Daniel looked at me with new admiration once again. A few days later, Daniel invited me to dinner for the second time, and we discussed some measures to improve the company. That was to implement truly humane corporate policies. Increase paid maternity leave for female employees. Increase paternity leave for male employees so they can share the responsibility of raising children with their partners. At the same time, prepare children's gifts every Children's Day and let employees take them home for their kids. In this way, care for employees would be demonstrated in every aspect. And by distributing benefits to children, it would strengthen their sense of identification with their parents' company, allowing them to remember the company from the age they celebrate Children's Day. This would not only improve the company's reputation but also cultivate hidden future users for the group's products. Daniel adopted my suggestions one by one. I also applied them to my own company. When both of our groups became popular for their corporate care culture and received official recognition and coverage, Daniel proposed to me. At the age of 22, I got together with him. At that time, I thought we would be good spouses and business partners for the next 50 years. Looking back now, it feels rather ridiculous. Before we even reached the 7-year itch, he had already cheated on me. Yet I didn't notice a thing. I was slow and blindly optimistic, believing that most feelings in this world remain unchanged. Perhaps during the countless nights Daniel was cheating outside, he looked at me with contempt and disdain. Later on, he probably thought I would never find out. 7 years. He hid it from me for 7 whole years. Thinking about it now, I don't even know why I chose to be with him in the first place. From the beginning, I never thought he had much talent for business. He trapped me in the name of love, and I trapped myself as well. I should have been more perceptive. Chapter 10. Dawn was about to break. I didn't go home and went straight to the company. On the way, I sent a message to the nanny who takes care of Luna, reminding her to make lotus seed soup for Luna in the morning. After that, I wondered whether I should ask for leave for Luna so she could rest at home for a while. After thinking about it, I decided to wait until Luna woke up and called to ask for her opinion. Although she is still young, I have always respected her thoughts. Luna has always loved going to school and learning all kinds of things. Just like me when I was young, she is competitive and wants to do everything to the very end. But when she became obsessed with Sudoku at the age of 7, I was actually a little scared and privately asked everyone in the family whether someone had been forcing her to study. All the answers were no. I had no choice but to ask Luna herself, who had been doing Sudoku for 3 hours without even lifting her head. Her answer was that she was interested. She is interested in every kind of skill. She said she wants to be like me, excellent in academics, with a wide range of hobbies, and skipping grades consecutively. There was no other reason, only that she is my daughter and wants to be more like me. A child being motivated from a young age is certainly a good thing, but I feel heartbroken. When it was me back then, everything felt normal, but when it comes to my child, I worry that she puts too much pressure on herself. After all, from the moment she was born, my only wish for her was happiness and joy. Who would have thought I gave birth to a miniature version of myself? I observed Luna for a long time. Whenever I had free time, I stayed with her, and only then did I finally feel reassured. Luna truly feels like a child who came to repay kindness. She has a wonderful personality, is polite, and responds quickly. Moreover, she doesn't just like studying, she is patient with almost everything, even with toys. She learns faster than other children. She learned tennis in just 1 hour, always leads her peers in running, and even wanted to learn martial arts and outdoor rock climbing. Daniel and I actually signed her up. At first we worried she might be afraid, but later we discovered she truly enjoyed it. With that, I was completely reassured. Luna lived with my parents for half a year. They were reluctant to let her come home, saying Luna is a mini version of me, almost exactly like I was as a child. Chapter 11. Daniel's mother had actually been waiting downstairs at my company. When she saw me, she broke down crying. How can you just take Luna away like that? That's the child I raised. That's our family's child. What right do you have to take her away? And what kind of grandson did Daniel bring back last month? All he does is cry and hit people. He's nowhere near Luna, not even a little bit. I want to take Luna back. I ignored her and was about to go to a meeting. Daniel's mother stopped me. Gloria, are you really going to divorce? As long as you don't divorce, everything in our family will belong to Luna in the future. I took a deep breath. Even if we divorce, as long as Luna wants your company, I can get it for her in minutes. Acquiring a company has never been difficult. From the very beginning, I had anticipated that my family's group would develop far better than Daniel's company. So Daniel and I signed a prenuptial agreement from the start. Each of us managed our finances separately, without mixing them. In this way, it actually prevented Daniel from taking my money now. As for his little bit of property, I don't care for it, but whatever Luna deserves, I will never let go. In any case, nothing will be left to Daniel's 2 illegitimate children. As for the future, I will sit back and watch Daniel gradually drive his company to ruin. When the capital chain collapses completely and he is forced to declare bankruptcy, that will be my turn to step in. That company can serve as a practice platform for my daughter. I looked at Daniel's mother. Back then, she had always hoped Daniel and I would have another child. Even after we repeatedly stated that Luna would be our only child, she still didn't give up. Later, as Luna grew older and became extremely easy to care for in every aspect, she fell completely in love with her. Whatever involved Luna, she insisted on doing personally. Luna is affectionate. Anyone who has taken care of her ends up attached to her. This only made Daniel's mother love her more. Whenever Luna didn't have school, she would take her everywhere. Even when meeting old friends for afternoon tea, she would bring Luna along, and afterward take her to the amusement park. She feared that bragging too much about Luna's excellence might provoke jealousy and gossip, so she forcibly changed her habit of showing off. From the second year she took care of Luna, she never again mentioned wanting us to have a son. Sometimes when her old friends sighed that Luna was perfect but unfortunately not a boy, she would immediately snap back, telling them to mind their own business and saying 100 grandsons could never compare to Luna. Thinking of this makes me feel uncomfortable. I want to believe her love for Luna was genuine and heartfelt. After all, it's easy to pretend for a while, but hard to pretend for 10 years. But in the end, after weighing the pros and cons, she gave up Luna. She once said 100 grandsons couldn't compare to Luna. Yet when Daniel's illegitimate child was exposed, she still hesitated. Just like her son, the scale in her heart tilted. I know she truly wants Luna. After all, she raised her for 10 years, there must be feelings. But I also have reason to believe that if Daniel's illegitimate son were as sensible and clever as Luna, she would give up Luna. In the end, her attempt to fight for Luna now is the result of comparison. Love that weighs pros and cons. Love that calculates. Luna never needed that. But I will not make any decisions for Luna. Everything will be decided by her. Chapter 12. Daniel and I finally completed all the divorce procedures. I hired a moving company to move all the important books and documents from my study. Daniel looked to be in a good mood, standing at the doorway of the study with a triumphant air as he watched me take the last few reprinted ancient books. Gloria, what's the use of being capable? You still couldn't keep your marriage. His tone was calm, pretending to be generous and magnanimous. But I knew he must be insanely jealous inside. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here deliberately. He thought he came to mock me. But in my eyes, he was just putting on a show to maintain appearances and hide the emptiness and jealousy inside him. Daniel, I smiled at him. Just wait and see. Fortune always turns, and it can turn brutally. He won't be laughing for long. Leaving this marriage won't affect me much. In fact, it's a good thing. After all, a blessed woman does not enter an unlucky family. On the contrary, Daniel lost me. I'd like to see how long he can keep laughing. Self-awareness is precious. Unfortunately, he has none. You can't compare to Zoe at all. Daniel sneered repeatedly. She's gentle, kind, considerate. She makes hangover soup when I'm drunk, ties my tie before meetings, and even washes my underwear while pregnant. We are the real husband and wife. As for you, someone as strong as you deserves to never receive true love. I kicked Daniel in the waist. He staggered backward and looked at me with resentment. Did I say you couldn't fight back? I said indifferently. Zoe is considerate because she depends on you for a living. But what about us? Wasn't it always you asking me for help? By your logic, shouldn't you have been the one doing these considerate things for me? Why didn't you fulfill your duties? Am I strong because I have an incompetent husband? I sighed. A wife becomes strong out of necessity. What choice did I have with a husband like you? I'm 178 centimeters and work out regularly. Daniel is 183 centimeters, but his abs disappeared years ago. Now, with his waist half bent, he looked even more defeated, making me appear towering over him. No brains, no brawn, no wonder you feel inferior. I said sincerely, someone like you couldn't even qualify as a decorative pillow. I clicked my tongue. After all, you're getting older. No matter how much you insult me, you're just jealous of Zoe, Daniel stubbornly said, still thinking he was desirable. Daniel, I said word by word, I'm an international level track and field athlete, a national level swimmer, a national level diver, and a national level wrestler. Since childhood, I've won countless academic competitions, been a model student for years, and won Olympic gold medals in physics and chemistry. Later, I studied abroad and got straight A's. I even earned degrees in both physics and mathematics. What gives you the right to look down on me? What do I have to be jealous of Zoe for? In what way do I not completely outclass both of you? Someone like you, who can't do anything right, is already 40 and still runs home to his wife whenever something big happens. What gives you the right to despise me? Daniel, let me tell you, the calmer I spoke, the colder I became. Someone like you, with no ambition but a huge ego, deserves to accomplish nothing. You were the one who asked to be with me. I didn't beg to marry you. Remember that. Don't look at me like that. Don't act as if you're so outstanding and I was the one chasing you. If I had the chance to choose again, I wouldn't even glance at someone like you. Even if you married into my family, you wouldn't be worthy. You should be grateful you spent over a decade with me. After leaving me, what will happen to your company? Don't you know? Without me, who will still call you boss? Chapter 13. Take some time to look in the mirror, I said, looking at Daniel's aggrieved face. After all these years, have you grown a brain? Have you become more independent? Why is it that whenever I don't help with the bidding, you always fail? Can you spend some time reflecting on yourself? Why is it that when people mention you, they always call you Gloria's husband instead of calling you the boss? Why does no one think I rely on you for a living? Isn't that enough to explain the problem? That means you're incompetent. By the end, I didn't even bother raising my voice. I calmly stated the facts. It means you're lacking in every aspect. You can't negotiate better than me. Your stamina is worse than mine. Your thinking is rigid and inflexible. What do you even have to show? Back then, it was your honor that I was with you. Do you understand? Daniel's mother immediately lost control, collapsing onto the floor and crying, no longer elegant or composed as she had been for years. How can you speak so viciously? That's too harsh. You don't respect your husband at all, even if he has nothing outstanding. You can't belittle him like that. He's a man, he can't live without dignity. Mom, Daniel called out, sounding unconvinced. What do you mean I have nothing to show? His mother ignored him and continued accusing me of hurting her son's dignity, since she didn't respond to her own son. That meant she silently agreed. After all these years, even the person who always sided with him recognized that Daniel relied on me, yet Daniel still believed all his achievements came from himself. Truly brainless. I didn't take Daniel's mother's words seriously. In her eyes, anyone other than her son is an outsider. Since that's the case, I had no reason to spare her feelings. She probably didn't know how many debate awards I've won since childhood. If insulting her son made her uncomfortable, I could insult her too. Carrying the ancient books downstairs, I saw Zoe dressed flamboyantly, holding her not quite normal son like an MVP showing off trophies. Looking at me arrogantly, I didn't need to think to know she was waiting here to show off. I didn't feel like listening to her nonsense, so I fired back first. You love showing off so much. Try harder and marry into a wealthy family sooner. What is this now? A mistress bringing an illegitimate child to the door, how disgraceful. Show off after you secure your position. Zoe's voice cracked as soon as she spoke. You've gone too far. You're not young anymore. Yet you're still so arrogant. No wonder. Don't cry, I said indifferently. You're already plain. Crying just makes the plastic surgery more obvious. Daniel must have been really desperate. You always bring up age? I laughed. So being 9 years older makes me elderly? What? You won't live to that age? Or will you just die in 9 years? I walked past her. Sorry. I've always been arrogant since childhood. Why shouldn't I be arrogant in front of someone like you? And did you know Daniel was upstairs praising you as the obedient wife who washes his underwear with a cold face? You must be thrilled. He loves you so much, he even entrusts his underwear to you. I leaned closer. Do you think he's with you because he admires you? Or because you can't do anything and he gets to feel superior around you? I left quickly, not planning to ever come here again. Chapter 14. The next time I heard news about Daniel was 2 years later. I was busy investing in several emerging industries when my best friend called me again and again. Do you know Daniel and his mistress were taken in for investigation? What happened? I instantly felt no fatigue. The exhaustion from days of meetings and reviewing documents disappeared completely. I knew Daniel's situation. After divorcing me, he completely reformed his company's regulations. He canceled all the original benefits, vigorously promoted the 996 work culture, encouraged extreme competition, and encouraged employees not to leave after work. This quickly caused public outrage among the staff. At the same time, he appeared on multiple programs, strongly promoting his ideas and praising employees who had no real talent and only knew how to flatter. This caused his reputation to plummet, and people openly called him greasy. He also repeatedly mentioned my name in public, openly challenging me and wanting to compete in managing companies. However, I always treated him like a clown and never paid attention to him. As bad money drove out good, Daniel's company lost more and more talent. I was delighted and expanded my company even further, recruiting the excellent employees who had been forced out by his stupidity. Later, I heard he even fought with several senior executives due to disagreements. I didn't bother paying attention and never looked into the details. Now, I didn't expect Daniel to destroy himself so quickly. Chapter 15. What happened? I asked my best friend. Daniel's company lost momentum and has been suppressed by other companies, so it barely made any profit this year. That little mistress Zoe kept making trouble, saying he was incompetent. At first Daniel tolerated it, but later he attacked her for giving him a ferocious son, making him lose face in front of friends. Then Daniel kept another younger mistress outside. Zoe was furious, and they fought every day. Daniel no longer mentions marrying Zoe. As for Zoe, she's even worse. She believed her son was stupid because Daniel didn't send him to an elite school. So under the instigation of Daniel's competitors, she embezzled company funds. Now both of them have been taken in for investigation. After hearing this, I felt even more refreshed. Daniel did not disappoint me. He didn't make me wait long. I picked up the internal phone and called my secretary. Notify everyone that this month all employee bonuses will be tripled. Also, there will be a meeting tomorrow morning. Yes, boss, my secretary said with undisguised excitement. What is the meeting about? A proposal to acquire my ex-husband's company and turn him completely into a pauper. The secretary acknowledged. I hung up. As the saying goes, when one party suffers, everyone adds fuel to the fire. This is all what Daniel deserves.